Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Mohammad Junaid and I'd like to talk about something we call power concentration. But it's somewhat of a complicated concept, but I can somewhat concisely explain it using one question. The question is, should we allow only a few people to determine the fate of millions of people? Like this could be 0.1% or 0.001% of people who will make decisions that will affect millions of people. Now let me give you a hypothetical scenario. Suppose a small group of scientists have decided that they will develop a new kind of weapon. A weapon that's capable of mass destruction, and it can kill probably millions of people with a single use. It does not discriminate whether its targets are civilians or soldiers. It will just kill. And if enough people get their hands on it, then probably it might mean the end of the world. If people hate each other enough. Well, the main question that comes to mind is, did anyone consent to this? Did anyone consent to giving ourselves the ability to destroy the whole world? If your answer is no, then I have some bad news for you. We already have the equipment. So the nuclear weapon, or which was known as at the time as the Manhattan Project, was only developed by a small group of people. No one knew about this, and the details of its development wasn't released until decades later. We can say that at the time, if you ask anyone if they want such weapons, they'll probably answer no. And we have had some consequences because of this. For example, the Cuban Missile Crisis, where the US and Russia were in constant tension, where a nuclear annihilation was almost, let's say, inevitable, but it thankfully didn't happen. So now the main question, now as I go back to the definition, so as I've described with the example, our main point is power, concentration of power. It's when a centralized group of individuals are either elected or have independently chosen to take actions that directly or indirectly affect large number of the population. It could be any form of political, economic, social. It doesn't have to be some kind of monarchy or government. It could just be corporate power. For example, large amounts of a large corporation could make decisions that affect probably an entire country. They are not elected officials. They are not no one has consented to their actions, but they can do so. To further illustrate our point, I'd like to pass the next section to my classmate.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, my name is Zuhair Islam, and today I will talk about the ethical foundations of political power. So my emphasis would be on how political power gets concentrated. So to begin with, let us look into how exactly does political power gets concentrated. So the answer is very simple. It occurs through advancement in military, science, and technology. Now these advancements in themselves are not they're ethical, they're not unethical. However, what happens is that when these powers get concentrated, that's when the countries or the individuals, they use or they turn into unethical actions. So let us look into what are the advancement in science, technology, and military. So their goal is our ethical goals. So the government or the country who advances in science, technology, and military is always going to have this ethical goal for the betterment of the people or for the for protection of the civilians. Now, let us look into how elites can, for example, individuals can also get have concentration of power. So how does that occur? That occurs through the connection with elites due to their wealth or social status. So now we're going to look into some examples in which we're going to talk about how the power is going to be misused. So we have some very good recent examples where there is misuse of power, which is due to ethical reasons. So to begin with, when power gets concentrated into the hands of a country or a few people, then they can exert global influence on others, and they can also change narratives the way they want to. So we can see that, for example, in the genocide that occurs in Palestine, so the US can defend Israel, even though most of the people or most of the countries agree that this is a genocide against Palestinians. However, still the US can defend Israel, and that's due to their political power. Now, the politicians can also define their own form of moral relativism. So in that case, they define things which are generally considered to be wrong. They can redefine them to be actions which are taken for public interest, or which are taken so that people can stay safe, for the national interest of the people, or to protect, or for self-defense, as that's a very common word used in case of used by Israel to defend their genocide against the Palestinians. Now let's look into how the powerful states can also bend the moral languages, so they can also break the universal principles which are defined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So they can also use them for their own benefits, or they can also bend the languages and violate them due to their powers. So one of the most recent examples is how elites can protect each other. That's through the Jeffrey Epstein case, which is very popular now, much talked about now. So the Jeffrey Epstein could carry out heinous crimes, and only because of his connection with the political people or with the elite class, he was protected, and he could carry out all those crimes for years. So now the question is political power unethical or not? It's of course ethical. However, what is unethical is the concentration of political power, which leads to accumulation of the power, which can cause to abuse the power and use them unethically. So my next groupmate would carry out with the rest of the presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen, and respected faculty members. Very good evening to you all. Here I am MD.Shariful. This part I will discuss with you people. Now I discuss about power of concentration in artificial intelligence. Before I dive in, I have a question to you all. That is, if artificial intelligence makes few companies more richer, unfortunately, millions of people lost their job. Now, can we still call it's a progress of artificial intelligence? Don't just think about it. After my part, you people probably can understand, or we will discuss with you people. Now, coming to the point, I want to explain about manifestation of power concentrates in artificial intelligence. Here 3 parts. Now I talk about the first one, heavy investment by tech giant. We know some tech giants like Microsoft, Google, Amazon. They control the AI, they control money, they control the data, they control the whole power of the world. Is it right? I know you people agree with me, no doubt. It's no doubt. They invest huge amount of money. They invest huge amount of money for building artificial intelligence. Now it's very vast. But the justice question has been arrived. This technology help everyone, or just help few more companies very rich? Just think about it. It's a very debatable question probably. Now, in 2024 to 26, in this year, the tech giant companies, they decided to invest almost $800 billion to build artificial intelligence. For example, Microsoft, they're thinking $800 billion to build OpenAI or development in OpenAI. On the other hand, also Amazon also invest $800+ billion in artificial intelligence. On the other hand, Google and other other tech giants, they also working on that way. This artificial intelligence makes them more powerful, more vast, more strong. And now the fair question has been arrived there: who really owns the future of AI? It's a very big question, but probably I also don't know who is the main creator of artificial intelligence. Let's talk about the second 2 points: control over data resource and environmental strain and resource competition. Here, tech giant like Microsoft, not only Microsoft, all the tech giants, they use huge amount of personal data. they need huge space, they need power, they need water to cooling their data centers. So our main thing, just point to be noted, they use per day, every tech giant use per day almost 15 to 30% power for their artificial AI, and they use almost 3 to 5 million gallon of water for their for cooling their data center. So it's huge. Using this water, we can easily maintain a small city. So they use this one is vast. It's very dangerous for our planet. It's very dangerous for our poor people. It's very dangerous for our next generation. It's a very thinkable question. Ladies and gentlemen, now you people all know that every artificial intelligence, every sectors, we have some good sides, some bad sides too. Now I talk about the side effects of artificial intelligence in our present slide. For artificial intelligence, so many people, you all know that we lost our jobs. They lost our jobs, and this amount of money taken by the tech giants company or their owners' accounts. So it's very much damaging for the common people. So they cannot live their life. Now they are the blank. I know you also agree with me or not, I'm not sure, but I agree that artificial intelligence is not a blessing for us. Privacy, and the next is privacy loss, bias, and control risk. Privacy loss. We use cell phones, right? Here camera is available, the microphone is available, the fingerprint is available. Each and everything in there under control. So we lost our privacy, we lost our thinkingness, we lost our life using this artificial intelligence, because artificial intelligence is not a technology. It's a technology, that's right, but it controls our future. It controls our day-to-day life. Okay, the last one, decreased lifespan and increased cost for household electronics. I already mentioned that. Point to be noted, every tech giant company use 15 to 20% per day electricity. For this reason, electricity is unstable. The load shedding is available in our country. Why? Because the tech giant companies, they use huge amount of power for their betterment. So load shedding is available. For this load shedding, for this unsmooth electric power, our electrical devices falling in danger, it damaged, and it's very expensive. So the cost is rising rapidly. Okay, so AI is a technology, but it's control our future, and it's very bad for our next generation. Now, I made a question in the bottom of my presentation, that is, if AI progress makes a few companies richer but makes millions of jobs, can we still call it progress? What do you think? I think it's not a progress. How many people in our classroom, that you people also agree with me that it's not a progress? Please raise your hand. How many of you think that artificial intelligence is not a progress? Anyone? Only one. It means you with me, but others is yes. Okay. So so on. That's great. But in my point of view, yes, this is not a progress. This is a very bad side for us. So that's all from my end. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
So that's your great success. Then you can be equally one. Okay? This one is with you. So
We are still up. Okay.
Hello everyone, I am Rakibul Haq, and my topic is power conservation in climate change. At first we say about the climate change, which is refers to long-term shifts in global temperature and weather pattern. When the climate change occurs, we see some resource scarcity. There is fresh water, food production, and the land, which can we use for our further betterment or development. So that when the climate change occurs, people are dependent on the government, corporation or donors for their water system, land and energy supply, which is powerfully controlled by the groups. And when we change when we improve the climate change effect, we need to money, technology, and data, which is always depends on the government, corporation, and donors. And that time we need the emergency laws. During emergencies, the normal public debates in redacted decision making become centralized, and the government declares state of emergency. So in that time, the power concentration is transferred to hand. So it is not stable. So it's stable in one hand. Okay, and if we follow our next part, and this I come to my fellow.
Well, hello everyone. My teammates and I showing and describing so many negative things. Now I am bringing some positive vibes to you and all. Then comes to social and economic positive effect of power concentration. Economic development and power concentration are related, and social positive effect are one of them. First, come to efficient decision making during crisis. During crisis, government and centralized parties are first and foremost to take any decision for our betterment. Just example like COVID-19 situation. When it's come to our life, save our life, our centralized government and centralized parties are make decision to save our lives, like vaccine and how vaccine can get nation to save life and distribute all over the nation. Maintaining social order and stability. So government and law enforcement agencies work together to ensure rule of law in a nation. One of the example is post World War II Germany. The situation of Germany after World War II is drastically disrupted in political and social. How they overcome this situation? They rebuilt their law enforcement agencies and rebuilt their constitution and law. Now comes to economic positive effects. Economically, power concentration can promote large-scale development and innovation. To develop any nation, a large amount of investment is required, and centralized government and centralized agencies like Samsung, Google, Tesla giants company invest in this sort of research. One of example is Norway state control of oil resources. Norway states they get full of control their natural resources like oil. How they increase their wealth and their nations, and by selling oil and distributing all over nations and exporting, they get money, they build their wealth, and to use to welfare for their nations, they invested there. Thank you for my side.
Now, I know we have taken a bit too much time, so I'll try to conclude as fast as possible. Now, I don't want you all to misunderstand our presentation. We are not here to say that the concentration of power is a bad thing. It can be a good thing, perhaps. For example, during the early 19th and the late 18th century, the British government tried to enforce vaccines in the Indian subcontinent, which was widely unpopular because of mainly religious reasons. But due to their enforcement, they managed to prevent a larger disaster in the form of a pandemic or an endemic. So the main proposal of our presentation is how accountable should we hold the people in power? What should we do to make sure that those who make such decisions for us, they can be actually held accountable if they ever make a mistake, or if they ever can be held accountable or not. Thank you.
Have any question, anyone?
Yes, I'm actually. Okay, so basically, I really appreciate your thinking about the AI stuff. But don't you think AI is just is not a living thing? This is just a tool that we all should use ethically.
I can answer this for you.
Please.
For example, the first example I brought up is the atomic bomb.
Yes.
Yeah, atomic bomb. The atomic bomb has no mind of its own. It does not discriminate whether it will kill civilians or soldiers. Right. So AI is in a similar way. AI is sort of a similar tool. It's those who are in power that decide how it should be used. Now, we know, like we have already discussed the use of AI, but we also want to talk about a wider issue, which is the development of AI. For example, in the US, many states are allowing such companies to build data centers next to residential areas. The people in those areas did not consent to this. They are actively protesting it, but due to this hypothetical financial gain, that is still being built.
That's great. Coming back to your topic, the atomic bomb or something like that. So don't you feel there is a button? So a human have to press a button to start the work.
Yes, but
So AI cannot take the decision and start the work.
yeah, the thing is that AI cannot take the decision, but the main point is, should we allow a single person to determine whether they should start a war that would affect millions of people?
That's great.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the great questions and also the great answers.